Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining.
Conley now with three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. John Morant. Insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. The Grizzlies got smoked by the Golden State Warriors on Wednesday night. This is despite a career night from G.G. Jackson and also despite big games from Santi Aldama and Jaren Jackson Jr. On this episode, I'm going to talk a lot about that game, but before I get into it, just a reminder that I need you to come join me next Wednesday for the final Grizzlies watch party of the season. In Nashville, we're going to be hosting a watch party at Noble's Beer Hall. We will have $1 off Wiseacre drafts. I will be giving away a lot of Grizzlies prizes. So come join me and other Grizzlies fans at Noble's Beer Hall in Nashville on Wednesday, March 27th for the game against the Lakers. It starts at 7 p.m. See you there. All right. This game was a tiny bit heated. We had Draymond Green getting into it with Santi Aldama in the second quarter. It started off very competitively and very, very close. I mean, honestly, this game was close if you just remove the final 2 minutes of the second quarter and the first, say, 4 minutes of the second half. Outside of that, very close game. Unfortunately, in that time frame, the Grizzlies were outscored 33-6. Did that start soon after the fracas? Yeah, kind of did. Is it related? I doubt it. But Santi and Draymond got into it, a little bit of pushing. It looked like Draymond should have been given a technical, although I've had a long-standing rule whenever there's a engagement between two players and Santi Aldama's involved, I believe Santi Aldama did it. Now, I never saw an angle that showed exactly if Santi did anything extracurricular to make Draymond Green extra mad, but the video that I saw, it seemed like Draymond deserved a technical for grabbing Santi's jersey, getting in his face a little bit. And then after that, there was the whole thing where Taylor Jenkins wanted to talk to the ref, and then Draymond and Desmond Bane got into it. Eventually, Bane and Draymond both given offsetting technical fouls. But basically from that point on, it was a Warriors blowout, and it was highly unpleasant. So before I get into the marvels of G.G. Jackson's 35-point night, some of the details about this blowout loss. So the Grizzlies, like I said, started off pretty fast. They made 7 threes in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Santi Aldama scored 15 points. Santi Aldama had 21 points in the first half. That is his career high for the most points he's ever had in a half. Despite that, the Warriors finished the half on a 10-0 run to be up 68-58. And then, as if giving up 68 points in a half wasn't bad enough, the Grizzlies allowed the Warriors to score 40 points in the third quarter. So the Grizzlies allowed 108 points through 3 quarters. Overall for the game, the Warriors scored 137 points. That's the second most points the Grizzlies have allowed in a game this season. The Warriors posted 43 assists, which is a season high for them, and only had 6 turnovers. That is remarkable. And we need to give a lot of credit to the Warriors for playing really, really well. They shot the ball really, really well. Andrew Wiggins shot the ball really, really well. He doesn't always do that. But also, you have to acknowledge that the Grizzlies defense was atrocious. And during that 33-6 run, where, all right, they made some threes. They were 5 out of 6 from the three-point line in that 33-6 run. This is the final 2 minutes of the first half, the first 4 minutes of the second half. But the Grizzlies could not score and also gave up so many transition points, gave up so many layups. They were getting beaten even off missed shots. Like, it wasn't turnovers. The Grizzlies only had 10 turnovers, but the Warriors finished with 20 fast break points. The Grizzlies only had 3 fast break points for the game. In that 33-6 run, This is wild to me. I mean, that's obviously abnormal. Like the Warriors posted a 220 offensive rating during that run. They made 14 out of 17 field goal attempts. The Grizzlies in that 6.5 minute run had 0 rebounds. I don't remember ever seeing a 6.5 minute stretch of any game where a team posted 0 rebounds. I mean, when your opponent only misses 3 times, I guess you're not going to get any of those. But of course, they didn't get any offensive rebounds. So the Grizzlies offense was very, very poor. Did the run start when Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane were both on the bench at the same time? Yes, it did. But the Warriors just lit us up and pulled away, and then it became yet another blowout loss for the Grizzlies. This was the Grizzlies' 15th loss of the season by 20 or more points. That is a franchise record for the Memphis era. The only team in franchise history to have more 20-point losses in a season was the 1996 Vancouver Grizzlies. They had 17, so maybe that's a goal to shoot for over the final 12 games, picking up 2 more 20-point blowout losses to match the 1996 Vancouver Grizzlies. But there were some positives to this game. And largely, I think we're all going to circle G.G. Jackson's awesome offensive performance. G.G. Jackson, playing on ESPN on national television, posted a career-high 35 points. He made a career-high 7 3-pointers. He looked awesome in this game. He was a multi-level scorer. You saw his beautiful shooting stroke. His three-point percentage has bumped back up now to 37% for the season, and he has been on this run of scoring. The pendulum has swung back towards Gigi's on fire. Over his last 6 games, the guy's averaging 25 points per game. He scored 19 or more in all 6 of those games. The only teenagers in NBA history, which basically removes any rookies, from before like 20 years ago, because teenagers didn't normally come straight into the NBA. But still, the only teenagers in NBA history to average 25 points per game or more over a 6-game span: Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, and now G.G. Jackson. One of the cool aspects of Gigi's career night is he was playing against Chris Paul, and I didn't know this until after the game. Chris Paul was G.G. Jackson's AAU coach 2 years ago, and Chris Paul had a ton of nice things to say about the G.G. Jackson game. Just listen to this quote from Chris Paul, who was a little bit perturbed that his ex-player lit up the Warriors for a career high.
Honestly, tell you the most fulfilling thing about tonight was G.G. Jackson. G.G. Jackson was on my AAU team. I was his coach 2 years ago. 2 years ago, G.G. was on my AAU team with a John Adams coach, some great players, Rob Dillingham, Aiden Holloway, a lot of great kids. And G.G. is an unbelievable kid. We done played at Memphis twice this year, and I was hurt both of those games. So going into the game, it was crazy. It's crazy. Sometimes he still called me coach. And he hit a 3 in my face early in the game. I was pissed because our AAU program is really like a family. And so to see him, to be out there on the court playing against him is something I never get used to. It's kind of a surreal moment. So I know I won't hear the end of that damn, what he had, 35. God, that was a career high.
So that obviously was very cool to hear Chris Paul talking about G.G. Jackson doing this against the Warriors in the first time that Chris has ever gotten to play against G.G. But I think, this game, despite it being a blowout loss, and yes, those 6 games where he's averaged 25 points per game, the Grizzlies are 1-5. But we've already seen him do this in wins. He did this against the Warriors last time in one of his first games that he played. He now has 9 games this season with 20 or more points. He has scored 15 or more points in 17 of his 27 appearances. I'm only counting games. That's games basically where he played over 15 minutes. So the guy can score, and the upside for him is immense. And he, of course, is the biggest silver lining from this terrible season. But a great game from GG Jackson. So GG makes 7 threes. Santi Aldama made 6 threes. Santi and GG, 13 three-pointers. And we were not close. As a team, the Grizzlies made 18 three-pointers, and also the Grizzlies had 16 offensive rebounds. You would think that would mean the Grizzlies win, or at least we're close. No, not at all. Santi, again, did most of the damage in the second quarter. He finished one off his career high for scoring in a game. He had 27 points. He also had 9 rebounds. So you had great games from GG and Santi, Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, maybe it wasn't a great game or a huge game, but he still scored 28 points. He scored a lot in the paint. He basically was the only player who could score in the paint. But you had GG, Santi, and Jaren all with 27 points or more. Each one of them shot 50% or better from the field. This was just the second time in franchise history the team had 3 guys score 27 or more in the same game. The last time it happened was 2010. The Grizzlies beat the Steve Nash Suns. In that game, Rudy Gay had 31. OJ Mayo had 28. And Zach Randolph had 27. The problem, and it wasn't just in this game that like Desmond Bane had an off game, and he had an off game. Desmond Bane had his worst field goal percentage game of the season, had just his second game this year where he scored in single digits. He made 2 out of 13 field goal attempts, had 6 points. But it wasn't just that Desmond Bane had an off night. I think if Desmond Bane even was on, the defense still just wasn't there. The giving up of the transition points, the inability of anyone to stay in front of Jonathan Kuminga. And I recognize Jonathan Kuminga is one of the quickest players in the NBA. He's one of the most athletic players in the NBA. Almost everyone in the NBA lets Kuminga get past them. Like, you know he's not really a shooter, and you sag off of him, and it still doesn't matter. He blows by you for dunks over and over and over. This is just not a Grizzlies problem. However, on Wednesday night, it was very much a Grizzlies problem, as the defense couldn't really do enough. But certainly Desmond Bane maybe could have done more. It would have been more competitive if he was not struggling as badly as he did. And then Conchar, who got the start in this one, Conchar was scoreless, so Bane and Conchar, which was your starting backcourt, had 6 points. Conchar did get 5 assists, a steal, and 7 rebounds. Now, another guy who had a good game in this one, maybe a little bit more underrated, was Jake LaRavia. I actually thought Jake LaRavia played really, really well. He mainly did non-scoring things, but I thought in the first half, I was like, GG Jackson's playing great, and Jake LaRavia's playing great, and also Santi Aldama's playing great. So it was obviously disappointing to give up that 10-0 spurt right before halftime, but before that, I was just like, man, these guys are playing really, really well. I'm quite pleased with how this game is going. So LaRavia, he ended up with 12 points, kind of scrapped out those points, but I felt like he did some good work on the glass. He actually made some defensive plays. He continues getting to the foul line. This is something he has consistently done over the last month. So I feel like Jake LaRavia keeps, I think, impressing in this kind of garbage stretch of the season. At the very least, like, he's doing some playmaking, and he looks like he belongs out there. So it's been a good trend of games. Now, the rest of the guys, I mean, Trey Jemison and Dejan Giroux were the only guys who played in the regular rotation until it was a complete blowout. So they only went 8 deep because I think they only had 9 guys available. But like Deke, he had 1 awesome putback dunk, second straight game with a putback dunk. But everything besides that looked pretty rough. Trey Jemison, he made a couple of hooks where he had a good mismatch in the paint, but he was subject to several of the Kuminga blow-bys. And then the newest player, by the way, the Grizzlies signed a newest player, the 29th player of the season. That's a new franchise record for most players used in a single season. It is tied for the second most ever. The Pistons have also had 29 players this season. They're still trailing the Houston Rockets, who a couple seasons ago had 30 players. That's the most players ever used by any team in an NBA season. And I don't know how to say the first name of this new guy who they signed to a 10-day contract. His last name is Pereira. He is, I've been told, he's just a hustle, rebound, energy guy. He got in garbage time. He did score his first NBA bucket, so congratulations to him. He also wore the number 25 jersey made famous by Chandler Parsons and also most recently Sam Merrill. So good job, Pereira, taking that number back. Let's remove the stigma of Chandler Parsons from Grizzlies number 25. Looking over my notes, the Grizzlies, like I said, this was the second most points they've allowed in a game this season, but maybe here's the good news. The 116 points the Grizzlies scored, that's the most points they've scored since February 14th. Okay, that's not really good news, but they don't score very many points. During the 33-6 Warriors run, Santi and Gigi, both guys with huge games, they played every second of that run. So as a result, their plus minus for the game ended up being absolutely hideous. After the game, we got Chris Paul at the podium saying some really nice things about Gigi Jackson. But if you missed it on SportsCenter, Draymond Green was interviewed live on air, and Draymond Green, I thought it was very interesting. He called out the Grizzlies for their strategy. He didn't call it the Grizzlies for, acting tough or anything. It wasn't your normal incendiary Draymond Green remarks. He said that the Grizzlies always overreact to Steph and Clay. So, because the Grizzlies were top-locking everything, trying to deny Steph and Clay, that the Warriors just took advantage of that with a lot of easy buckets. And I thought that was notable. I mean, I don't know if he's just trying to instigate something, if he's being honest, or if the Grizzlies did do that and if they overreacted and they worried too much about Steph and Clay and they gave up way too many points in the paint, way too many back cuts. Perhaps that is what happened. Now, the Grizzlies have lost 4 straight games, so they are keeping their draft spot secure as of right now. Meanwhile, the Raptors lost their 8th straight game on Wednesday night. They lost by 34 to the Kings. The Grizzlies' next game, this will be interesting. This is what I'm keeping my eye on. The Grizzlies' next game, the road trip continues as they go to San Antonio on Friday. The thing I'm looking for, will Jaren Jackson Jr. mysteriously miss this game as they face a team with a worse record? Jaren has missed the last 5 times the Grizzlies have played a team with a bottom 8 record and has played every other game. So that is a stunning coincidence, I say. Will Jaren and Desmond both suit up against Victor Wembanyama tomorrow? That remains to be seen. And with that, I think we can end this short episode. Good game, Gigi. Good game, Santi. Hey, good game, Jake. As far as overall team performance, the cohesion on defense, the rebounding, not so great. But hopefully better days are ahead. Anyways, if you want to support my program, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Come join the Slack channel. If you live in Middle Tennessee, come to Noble's Beer Hall this coming Wednesday, March 27th for the Grizzlies-Lakers game. I will be giving away a lot of Grizzlies prizes to everybody there. Let's have fun at the final Nashville watch party of the season. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Enjoy March Madness if that's your thing. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.